four will compete in the right of succession, the outcome of which will decide who takes my place as Dawn Servant.
The grand conclusion to the decade-long Hydaelyn and Zodiark arc in Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker was lauded by critics and fans alike, resulting in an unparalleled influx of new players. Square Enix's Creative Studio 3 seeks to inject fresh energy into the long-running MMO by inviting the Warriors of Light to journey to the colorful continent of Tural in its newest expansion, Dawntrail. The beginning of a brand new saga, an extensive graphical update, new jobs, and new battle content promise excitement. Will it capitalize on the momentum of its predecessors and take the experience to even loftier heights, or will it be hindered by legacy burdens? Establishing the history of an entire continent and laying the pillars for the upcoming tale takes time. Dawntrail knows that and starts very slowly, so far in line with my expectations and likely those of many other players. However, it takes far too long to confront the Warrior of Light with combat-related tasks, the cornerstone of Final Fantasy XIV's gameplay. Combined with the conventional quest design, this creates a tedious opening. This kind of storytelling indeed sets the stage for great world building, and they capitalize on this by showcasing Tural's diverse cultures and peoples, but it's high time for a refresh in this department. While it's apparent that Creative Studio 3 are masters at crafting deep stories and worlds, they need to hone their talents at creating engaging quest structures that demand more from you than simply chatting to townsfolk or eliminating some of the local wildlife. The pacing flaws come to a head in the final third of the main scenario, when a new threat is introduced and resolved too quickly, creating an awkward disconnect from the rest of the narrative. Just to be clear, the best moments occur in this concluding act. Frustration remains because it feels very cramped. This could have been alleviated by weaving the antagonist into earlier, more uneventful parts of Dawntrail's MSQ. Instead, the Warrior of Light is participating in a rite of succession to crown their de facto protégé, Vuk Lamat, lovingly called Lamati by her closest companions, as the next ruler of Tural, the Dawn Servant.
Papa, when this contest is said and done, it'll be your daughter who sits the throne. Me, Vuk Lamat!
Although her upbeat personality may not appeal to everyone, she contrasts well with the darker tones of previous expansions. Her evolution into a leader who faces every situation with compassion and humility offers a bright outlook on the world. Rather than carrying her burden and the expectations of her people on her own, she shows vulnerability and requests support from others, and therefore serves as a meaningful foil to the antagonist. The different outlooks on how far a leader should go for their people and when it's time to let go culminate in the final zone, delivering a deeply emotional experience, neatly wrapping up various narrative threads. Even if she doesn't make it to the top of my favorite characters list, I can appreciate her as the personification of this story's themes. To embody such a vital role requires a significant amount of screen time, and Lamati receives that and much more. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said about other relevant characters like Kryl Bildessian, a long-term companion of the Warrior of Light and member of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. Promised to play a significant part, Kryl was even highlighted in the CGI intro for the new expansion, now donning one of the two new jobs, Pictomancer. She is featured as an integral part of the storyline, having ties to the central mystery of the Golden City, and can even provide aid in battle now, yet she remains incredibly underutilized. This brings us to the larger issue of how the writers were not able to put the other tried and true Scions to rest for the duration of Dawntrail's runtime. Their inclusion feels redundant. A smaller, more focused cast would have helped to make the whole package feel tighter, akin to Heavensward, which developed a small number of characters considerably, as exemplified by Alphinaud's growth. As it stands, fan-favorite characters like Estinian do little to enhance the adventure. Instead, they detract from it by overshadowing other previously less prominent members of the Scions. The story's tempo and the portrayal of some characters may be a bit uneven, but the graphical presentation has reached an all-time high. The first of the many upcoming graphics updates comes as a noticeable improvement, particularly in the zones of Tural. Textures, foliage, and materials look much more realistic while maintaining FF14's signature style. Character models also benefit greatly, with pixelated hair and outdated elements becoming a thing of the past. The update also helps to retroactively spruce up older areas. The storied MMO now looks better than ever, and the new score by the celebrated and beloved composer Masayoshi Soken lives up to his esteemed pedigree. Although it plays often, the normal battle theme never fails to scratch the itch for a showdown, and standouts like the jazzy sounds of Tuliolal and the melancholic accompaniment of the final zone add to the emotional depth of the expansion. This soundtrack is another easy win for the sound team and complements the now much more invigorating combat encounters. Upping the difficulty and thus disabling the self-applied limiters for designing interesting fights was the smartest move Creative Studio 3 made in Dawntrail. There is much more variety here compared to Endwalker. Dungeons, which still consist of 3 bosses spliced in between trash mobs, now require more strategy and spatial awareness, contributing to a more dynamic and fun gameplay experience. Specifically as a tank main, this expansion gave me way more to do than just standing around and performing my rotation. The trial bosses are especially memorable, with the last 2 being exceptional encounters that employ arena mechanics in innovative, thrilling ways. As already stated, the higher difficulty outside of hardcore savage raids is a welcome change, and I hope this trend continues in future updates. Despite glaring pacing issues and underexplored characters creating a dissonance between the beginning and later parts of this story, Dawntrail remains a solid Final Fantasy XIV expansion pack that still competently explores profound themes like family, shouldering expectations, and loss. It was a tall order to follow up the 2 most critically acclaimed expansions, and it would be disingenuous to say that Dawntrail comes close to rivaling the peaks of Shadowbringers and Endwalker. Nevertheless, there are aspects of this package that shine strongly and tower above the aforementioned expansions. The raised difficulty and vastly better dungeon and boss designs keep combat engaging in ways that were previously missing. The setup for future storylines is promising as well. Failing to make use of this prime opportunity to scale the stakes back and instead relying on a world-ending threat to drive up the drama might cause problems down the line. Even so, there is a solid foundation here for what's to come that has me eagerly awaiting future patches.
Much about the key remains shrouded in mystery.
What in the world is that?
What is this relic of theirs? Who made it? And to what end?
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay updated on gaming reviews from Moonflow, don't forget to subscribe and like.